Hey guys, Nick here, and today we are into part 4 of What If Madison's Family Joined Rick. Now, in the last part, we discussed Travis and everybody else going to the farm, meeting Otis in a much more unexpected way because of Strand's interference, and trust and promises having to be resolved, and Herschel and the whole barn thing happening a lot sooner, with Herschel saying that they are still allowed to stay here, really trying to hold back wanting to keep Strand, Daniel, and Shane here, if they actually obey his rules, because it was done in a much different way. A lot happened in the last episode. Now we're going to discuss the changes henceforth because of everything that's occurred in several different ways, and we're only freaking 4 parts in. First off, Carl was never shot because of the whole Otis and Strand thing, so that also likely means that Rick would not give Carl his hat. And I feel like that's the only reason that he did it, just because Carl was in the bed and they were talking and, making him feel strong in a way. Not to say he won't give him the hat later, it's just not right now. Sophia is also still alive, which I really have never touched upon besides my What If Sophia Joined Negan and small other stories, because Chris took her place. And this would also significantly down Carol's character development, because Sophia's still around. See, with What If Sophia Joined Negan was different, because Sophia might have been alive, to their knowledge at least, but she wasn't around. And we all know how her original character went whenever she was found in the barn, so I don't really need to touch there. Anyway, this would also down Rick's character development, because not only has his son not been shot, but he did not have to put down Sophia and feel like he failed. So Rick is still just a big old softie. So that's a good and bad thing as of now. We would also, since Herschel's not going to the barn here because of circumstances being different, that means that we're not going to see Randall's group anytime soon. Does that mean that we're not going to see them for the entire story, even though we really didn't get to see the full group in general? Kind of mad about that still. No. We are still going to get into, the little few members of Randall's group just a few more episodes in than we originally saw them. We are still at the beginning of Season 2, so we're going to see them, it's just going to be way later. Because, yeah. And because of Carl not getting shot, that means that Shane and Otis are not going to go to the hospital, and that stuff's not going to go down. Because there'd be no need. And if they did go there, it would just be to get simple stuff. It wouldn't be a huge hassle. Which means that Otis would not die, Shane would be a much softer person, and still have his hair, and yeah. Lori's pregnancy would eventually be figured out, but because of circumstances and everything else, Lori would not be as willing to kill her baby as she was before, even though she did throw the pills up, but still, she's not even gonna go to that length. And the pregnancy thing's gonna be dealt with a lot smoother than it was originally. And it's not gonna be a fight to keep them on the farm. Now, we're gonna get into relationships, because that's a category, along with survivors, I touch upon a lot in these stories. First and foremost, Nick and Ophelia. Now, in the original Fear the Walking Dead, Nick and Ophelia, that relationship was teased, but it was ultimately replaced after the whole Thomas Island thing, and Ophelia was basically replaced with Luciana, and then Ophelia died, and yeah. Anyways, Shane and Andrea get into a relationship, although I feel it would be less weird than how it played there, but this time it's actually permanent, like I have it in other stories. So, yeah. Madison is still obviously involved with Travis, the mourning Travis, because, Chris just died. Rick is still with Lori, and like I said, the whole pregnancy thing and the whole deal with Carl and everything like that, I feel would honestly make Lori a better person, and it would just be dealt with a lot better than originally. So we would barely get any true... After the whole barn incident, since this would be the beginning of season 2, there would not be any, major signs of conflict or anything. Glenn and Maggie would also have their thing. I feel the first run would go the same, with them, doing their thing. But honestly, going past that, I don't feel like Maggie would be as pushy with Glenn as she was. So, there's that. And with relationships out of the way, sort of, we cut to Alicia, who sees that Daryl has been going in and out of runs, because this time he's not going out looking for Sophia, so he's not going to be going out all that way. So now he's just going to be going out on runs to hunt and for the group and stuff. And Alicia catches notice of this and wishes to go alongside with him. Now Daryl, this is still season 2 Daryl, so he's not really all, he accepted help, but he's not really, he's more or less so always been a loner. Daryl's always a loner, but he grew out of that slowly into the series. It says that he'd rather just do this alone. But Alicia says that she's not recommending. She's telling him that she's going one way or the other. Because they need more than one person to be going out on runs. And with her help, Daryl can get the job done a lot faster. And this isn't her being, wanting to be around him or anything. This is her just wanting to contribute for the greater good. Now, Daryl, he smiles at this. Not only at this girl's bravery, but the fact that she literally is just making a big deal about just wanting to go on a simple run. She's definitely trying to prove her case. And Daryl respects this and decides, you know what? What the heck? He ain't gonna stop her, so why not just let her go? Now, speaking of runs and just security stuff like that, Nick, Andrea, Dale, Ophelia, and Daniel are all the guards at the RV, setting up tents up on top of the RV and keeping watch against walkers and stuff like that. Because we need some people to. And Andrea did it originally, but since we have extra people, why not add them? Now, we then cut to Daryl and Alicia again. They're going out on runs, finding whatever they can, because there's no need for them to go anywhere to look for anybody, because everyone's there. Well, except Chris. But no one cares about him anyway. They approach a bar, and surprised to see 2 people inside, both of which at first seem hostile. The one in the cap seeming way more hostile than the other. But the other guy calms him down, and they both introduce themselves as Dave and Tony, 2 members of a different group, and they've been out on the road for a while now, and they're just scavenging the place. It all seems good. They have a somewhat similar conversation to how Rick, Herschel, and Glenn had with them, except with Daryl and Alicia, there's way more skepticism on whether or not they're crazy, and that thought gets proven right when both of them attack. Alicia takes out one, while Daryl takes out the other, and this would be a nice little tag team moment for the both of them. Now, the rest of Randall's group is encountered pretty much the same way, except Daryl and Alicia would care way less about trying to save their lives, since it's apparently clear that they want to kill them. But soon enough, Randall still gets caught, his leg still gets caught on the fence thing, and he asks for help. Now, originally, Rick just had the morals to save him, and I feel that with the mood still light here, both Daryl and Alicia would want to save him, and Alicia does. Even though, it's Alicia. She wants to save him, but Daryl, we all know how Daryl is. And the fact that this group is apparent in killing them makes him realize that saving this guy could really just prove to be a backstabbing moment to bring more people in. There's no way that they're letting people in that they're a threat. So, yeah, they're not saving this guy. So, unlike before, Randall is left to die, which really didn't matter in the end since Shane killed him in the original. It was just a small moment for a really inferior group, so it really doesn't matter here. Daryl and Alicia make it back to the farm, and everything's going good. No one else having to go out, and this would probably still be the middle of season 2. So, we're not even, near the end of season 2 yet, and we're getting all this. Daryl and Alicia make it back and tell everybody about what happened. And they think that the group is mainly out of the way, because they weren't told about the 30 guys, because remember, they left Randall behind. And I'm not really going to bring Randall's group into fruition here because it never was in the original. So to try and make it work in a story where we barely have any exposition about them, it would be pointless. So how will Daryl and Alicia not saving Randall play into the accounts of the rest of the story? And with Madison's family in tow and all this stuff happening, do you think that more good will come out of it than bad? Or do you think that it's really just going to screw the group over 10 times? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope you guys enjoyed the 4th part of the series. Definitely a little bit of a twist on edge with Alicia joining Daryl, saying it's not really a relationship deal. I'm not going to spoil whether or not it actually comes to fruition. Just know that they're going to be joining each other on runs. But I hope you guys enjoyed this part nonetheless, and are enjoying the series. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.